Right, good afternoon and welcome back to Fite Sports Uncovered with me, your host Mark Chube, right here on Love World Sat. And it's the very first Friday after South African President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the state of disaster here in South Africa, this following on the global pandemic that is COVID-19. And it's our very, very first show since that announcement. And as usual, you know, this Friday show is always about building up to what's taking place in the weekend ahead. And guess what? Nothing taking place this weekend. It's kind of bizarre to have a build-up show when there's nothing taking place in the coming days. So a very, very strange show for us, for me anyway, today. But I'm talking about strange. I'm joined by a chap who's no stranger to the show, and he's going to help me along with today's show because I think we've got a very interesting topic to discuss. And the man I'm talking about to my right, no stranger to the show, as I said. He's been in the studio, he's been in other gyms. Now we're in his gym. Welcome, Stephen Castle.
Thank you.
Top Box.
Welcome to my home.
Welcome to your home. Top Box here in Four Ways, Johannesburg.
Yes.
Thanks for allowing us in the hallowed territory of the boxing ring.
Yeah, my home away from home, as they say. But yeah, welcome to Top Box and thanks for coming to visit us.
Very, very strange sort of feeling. I mean, so first question to you is no live or new sport taking place around the world. What have you been doing?
Just trying to make sure we can keep going.
As a business?
As a business and as a sport, you know, we don't know when this is going to end. Because it's easy to go and say, like, it's going to be a week, is it a month, is it 2 months? No one knows how long this is for. So it's worrying times. It's worrying times for us as a boxing community and as a business community, whether you actually do professional sport or not. We train people, and that's where we make our money. It pays our bills, and we don't know how long this is going to be for, and how much of an impact it's going to have on us. And are we going to see closures of gyms? Are we going to see that sort of happening? And so that's the concern. So it's been an emotional week from a stress point of view, and trying to make sure people feel comfortable, making sure there's no issues with it down the line. So yeah, it's been a tough week.
I mean, if I could say, in our lifetimes, this is unprecedented, not only in a social context, not only in an economic context, but from a sporting point of view. I mean, professional sport has never experienced something like this ever.
Yeah, I think it must be a first. I mean, how long has professional sport really been around at the level that it's never been this sort of happening, and where you have a complete shutdown, literally, of everything. It's a lonely place as a sports person, and obviously it's got a massive effect. It's not just for the guys that get paid the money that are the ones that are on TV. It's all the behind the scene people, correct. The coaches, the guys that work in stadiums, the guys that work for institutes.
Essentially the gig economy.
Yeah,
those guys that literally work from event to event.
Entertainment. Yeah. You know, sport is a sport, and we're not entertaining. But we are entertainers. We're not entertainers as such, but yeah, we are. So anybody in that sort of realm is in worry time, because it's month to month, it's fight to fight, match to match, and now we don't know when the next one is. Literally, don't know when the next one is. So it's you can worry about it and you can really overstress about it. And I think initially there was a huge, like, everybody went crazy. We saw, you know, this week in South Africa, Monday and Tuesday, everybody was buying out the shops, and people were locking themselves in houses, and it was a little bit overboard. I thought, you know, with the number of cases that we started the week with and where we're going to right now, it's pretty much where it should be. We only see the effects of those decisions made by the president. Whether they will have an effect on us down the line by next week, we'll probably see if there's a slowdown in the growth. Yeah. We'll only know that next week. We won't know it this week. It won't really have that kind of effect yet. So yeah, as I said, we don't know how long this is for, and all we can do is just keep on moving forward and try and be positive about it.
Well, as a business, Top Box, you guys have been here in the Joburg area. How long have you been based here in the Four Ways area?
21 years in June, if we make June, if it gets to June, yeah. But we're the oldest running boxing gym in South Africa.
Wow, so you have your 21st?
21st in
real
June.
Soon.
Yeah, we have a party.
Oh, okay.
It'll be more than 100 people, hopefully.
All invitations will be limited.
Yeah, hopefully by then we know where we are. But yeah, 21st birthday in June.
Wow, congratulations.
In this exact spot.
Oh, fantastic.
I don't know how I've done it. I haven't lost my mind. but 21 years in this sport.
COVID-19 is just another challenge, another opponent that you're facing, hopefully to keep going for another 21 years.
It's a bit of a different opponent because it's one I didn't see coming and I couldn't prepare for.
You didn't sign this contract?
No, didn't sign this contract, and it's got me on the ropes. But I'm working my way around it. I've changed fight plan and I'm coming out, so we'll see how it goes.
We're going to talk a little bit later in the show about not only the business impact that this has had. I mean, you're not only a business owner, you're a trainer, you're a coach, you're a mentor to a lot of up-and-coming boxers. Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more later in the show about that impact. Sure. But in terms of the gym itself, this is, like you said, your home away from home. It's also home to a lot of young up-and-coming athletes, but not just for boxers or athletes. It's also for those that want to just come get fit, lose a couple of kilos, or just sort of next stage in life.
Essentially, Mark, combat sport, and we all know it, doesn't pay. It can't feed you for month to month. It can't. It doesn't have the ability to. So I started Top Box 21 years ago to give boxers the place where they could work in the environment they could be, make money outside of fighting, and that's what we've done here. And obviously, what subsequently happened right all over Joburg, you've got gyms now everywhere. Every street corner's got a boxing gym or a fight gym, doing the same thing. So with that in mind, is that we train people that pay our bills, the corporate side of business, the housewife, the businessman, the student, that come here to either learn the art of boxing and to get fit, or just to come and do functional fitness to keep fit. Now that's obviously been thrown a curveball with this, where they're saying stay at home, no gatherings, you've got to be extra careful about how you keep places clean. And it's definitely had an effect. We've seen certain clients have said they won't be coming to the gym for the next week or two. But largely, we've been blessed with guys that know what we're doing and that we're here to look after them. And the measures we've put in place to secure their hygiene and secure their safety, they recognize that, and we've had numbers in the gym. We've had, as I said, if we had 100 members, we've had 10 that said they're not, the 90 are still here. And that's essentially what's been good for us. And we've got to just keep on going, as I say. We've got to pay our bills still, Right. But I know gyms that are closed their doors. A lot of gyms have announced on social media that their doors have been closed, and if they're not closing their doors, they're closing their doors to new members to join. Which is I don't know how you can and how you're going to pay that bill, because we haven't had a relief from in terms of saying no, you're not going to have to pay rent, you're not going to have to pay your bond. That hasn't come about. The government hasn't turned around and said we're going to. They've done it in other countries where they said no repayments for the next 2 months or 3 months. So you have a little bit of extra money where you can cover yourself. And that hasn't happened here yet. And so to close your doors is worrying. Yeah. I was involved now with EFC on the weekend, and one of the guys that I was working with there is a guy from Australia. He owns 3 MMA gyms in Australia, and they've closed their doors. As of Monday, they closed all their gyms. And I'm like, I couldn't do that. Purely from a point of view that we work very tightly with how we don't make millions here. We don't do debit orders. We don't have memberships like the big Virgin Actives do. Yeah. That'll take your money regardless of whether whether you come or not. They will still take the money. We don't do that. We have a very social environment where people come and train because they want to train, and we reward them for that. So we can't afford to close our doors. And I know there are a lot of other guys that do the exact same thing. So it's worrying. You're going to see, if this goes on for much longer than a month, you're going to see guys closing their shops. Yeah, which is sad. Unemployment, everything suddenly go through the roof again. Definitely, has to. Well, bringing it back to more sporting-orientated matters, and big announcements taking place in the combat sports world. And UFC recently announced that their next 3 events have been cancelled. But as to your and our conversation over social media, is that Khabib versus Ferguson not yet affected? We wait and see. I think last night Dana White saying that everything else cancelled, but so far they're looking at plans to ensure that Khabib versus... That fight's taking place in Vegas, isn't it? Yes, at the end of April. Yeah, it is in Vegas. And I think you have to hope. I think I'm sure Dana White is praying that everything finds its way. Time will tell. Well, the big thing there is the Nevada State Athletics Commission has cancelled everything in the state of Nevada, which, guess what? That's where Vegas takes place. So obviously they're currently looking at alternatives in terms of other venues. Maybe other countries.
Maybe other countries, but let's have a look and see what happens, how that unfolds, and let's hope that we don't have a fourth postponement.
6 weeks out, and who knows what happens in 6 weeks. They're talking about vaccines, they're talking about things changing. So, you got to just hope that this ends quicker than it has in other places.
Yeah, and it's very fluid at the moment, as we can see. Also, we see that EFC has announced that they have moved their Cape Town event, scheduled for the 4th of April. They've moved it up to Johannesburg to be held here at the Performance Institute, one of the very few global promotions that are still looking to maintain a showpiece, an event for the fighters, for the fans. I can't help thinking that that's going to be the fact that...
Closed doors, though.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in terms of what the president has said, it's got to be less than 100 people if it's going to take place at all.
Sure.
But more importantly, I can't help thinking that with that card moving up to Joburg and with a lot of athletes, a lot of people worrying about travel and flying.
Well, travel restrictions already in place by with a lot of companies in that, and a lot of athletes still work. So if they've got travel restrictions with work and they fight, then so I'd imagine it's probably going to be a Joburg card.
An all Joburg card, correct. So we think that that's going to be a massive, just focused around the Johannesburg area. So a very, very different dynamic for EFC potentially in store for us come the 4th of April. We also see that Cage Warriors is still on, and Stephen, you and I were talking just a little bit before the show. It's strange that some of these promotions that have got TV time are continuing, and yet others that still have major TV have decided to cancel or postpone their events.
Yeah, I think initially the guys that like UFC who had closed events and Brave had and One had at the time were all doing it from a purpose that they didn't really know how long it was going to happen. And now that it's got more serious, and how many closed events can you have before you start losing interest? But TV time pays a lot of the bill. So I think for them it was a case of still honouring those contracts. But in certain combat sports don't have TV. I mean, boxing in this country has very little TV. The tournament this weekend, Golden Gloves tournament, they have TV. Empress Palace, they have TV, and they've chosen to cancel it. And I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that, you could still have sport without people there. We saw a couple of games in the Premier League happen, and that was shut down very quickly. And I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that your audience has a lot to do with your performance, the atmosphere. So even if it's filmed, it still loses a lot of feel. It still loses, like we were talking about earlier, about the 6 people clapping for a win on...
Yeah, Gilbert Burns, absolutely.
Clapping 6 people, and so as an athlete, as I said, I've fought in small venues with a couple of maybe like less than 100 people, and I've fought in venues with thousands of people, and you can feel a different energy. You either draw from it or it helps you. So there's definitely something that comes out of having an audience from the athlete's point of view, and not also from the fact of TV. It's like filming, like completely like Trevor Noah is now gone and he's closing there's no more in our studio for the Trevor Noah show, that daily show.
So it's going to be canned laughter now.
So canned laughter. But can you imagine doing canned cheers? Like how would you can't. So it has an effect on the athlete. It's got to have an effect on the athlete right across the board, whether it be combat sports or football, soccer, anything. So I think the idea to suspend all is probably a good idea. I saw now that they're saying the Olympic Games are still going ahead.
Yeah, 100%. It's so
they're
far
saying it's still going ahead.
Correct.
And that's when? That's in July.
June, July, yeah.
So there's obviously hope. And maybe there's something going on we don't know about happening in Asia, that Japan's decided to go, hang on a second, I think we can still do this. Hey, that's a good sign. It's a good sign, because there's positivity that something's going on that we maybe not be aware of yet, that maybe they think by then it's controlled. Let's hope.
Well, on that point, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to unpack all of what's happening in the combat sports world, more of the postponements and cancellations, and then I'm going to spend a little bit of time with Stephen unpacking what do athletes do next in this downtime. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Introducing the new, fresh, and exciting Rhapsody of Realities app 3.0. The Messenger Angel Rhapsody of Realities just got a new updated app for reading Rhapsody daily articles. Enjoy reading and listening to your Rhapsody on the go while taking advantage of these amazing features. Brand new design, Enjoy the new design built to take advantage of the latest technologies to make your app experience awesome. It's simpler and easier to use. With just one click, you have access to the article for the day. It's that easy. Sync notes. Pin down moments of divine inspiration while studying the devotional and sync them to the cloud to be available anywhere, anytime. A new interactive store. Visit the store and get all books by Reverend Dr. Chris Oyakhilome for people of all ages and download them to your library. Store your favorite books in an easy access folder. Enjoy unlimited access when you upgrade to our premium subscription. Gain access to the complete package of Rhapsody of Realities every month. This includes the entire month's devotional on the go with free audio devotional add-ons. Track your reading habits daily with our automated calendar and identify unread days for the devotional. Read further studies right within the app. Download the new Rhapsody mobile app today for free and be inspired anytime and everywhere on the go. Available on the Google Play Store.
Right, welcome back. Fight Sports Uncovered with me, your host, Mark Joubert. We're coming to you today out of Top Box Gym in Four Ways, Johannesburg. My guest today, no stranger to the show, Stephen Castle. If you missed the first part of the show, we've been talking about the impact not only globally, but at a personal level to small gym owners like Stephen here at Top Box, what the potential of COVID-19 is going to have, how he's feeling about it right now, and the emotions that are going through him as a small business owner about the potential and the impact that this could have should this lockdown take longer than a month or two. But moving ahead and looking at some of the other big news out of other combat sports federations, MMA South Africa announcing that the Amateur Youth Championships have been cancelled, as well as this weekend's general meeting. The Muay Thai Federation, South African Muay Thai Federation, also announcing that all events, all tournaments have been cancelled until May 2020. Judo as well until the end of April 2020, and that's all gatherings greater than 100 people. Interestingly enough, though, you've got the International Federation of Taekwondo, as well as Karate South Africa. No major announcements there yet. So is that kind of surprising for you, Stephen, in the greater context? Everyone else talking about shutdowns, closures behind the scenes, and yet we still have a couple of federations saying nothing.
Not really. Not those two federations anyway. When we know that there's certain guys that are proactive and there's certain guys that react, and I'm not really surprised that the two of them haven't really said anything yet. I think they don't know what to say, and you might hear something next week from them. But yeah, that doesn't really surprise me. I mean, that's half the problem we have with a lot of the combat sport is just getting information, communication is hard. So no, I'm not surprised.
Coming back to your sport and your key sport, boxing,
Yes.
BSA obviously announcing that the next 5 events, and here we're talking Golden Gloves tournament, the TLB promotion, the Tono promotion, the DMZ Sitobe tournament, and the Insane promotion, all of those up until the middle of April.
Yes.
All cancelled.
Well, even the one at the end of April has been also put on ice.
Okay.
So yeah, I've literally got 6 contracts signed when I got fighters fighting every weekend. Was supposed to be from this weekend right through till the end of April. I've got fighters fighting, and we're on lockdown. We're on freeze, so we have no idea when they're going to come back on. And then obviously when we get given the go-ahead that we can reactivate sport as such, what sort of period of time we're going to get notice? Are they going to say, okay, you guys can fight, and everyone's going to go, okay, this weekend? Because effectively you can't. And so we don't know what sort of duration of time we're going to get. So as a boxer, as a fighter, we sort of going, well, we're supposed to fight this weekend. If they turn on the taps in a week's time, are we going to go, this tournament's going to be the following weekend? Or are they going to say, okay, guys, we're going to give you another 3 weeks? We don't know. So all the boxers right now, I've sort of sent all my fighters home in terms of saying that no training, take off the week, literally just get your body to rest, recover, because we're trying to peak everybody at the right time as their tournaments came along and working on things and getting them, up in sparring as we get closer to their fights. And now I've just said, okay, turn off the taps, go home, just go and eat. Those who are getting closer to weigh-ins, we're worried about weight and dieting, and now so go eat, just relax. And then we're going to go into maintenance from next week. And maintenance mode means just obviously keeping the road work up, keeping basic training, working on certain technical things, but no hard training, no sort of peak training. We're just going to go maintenance mode until we get a notice to say, okay, this is on this date, this is on that date, this is on that date. And then hopefully have enough time to peak. That's all we can do.
I get the sense looking at social media that all of these postponements, all of these cancellations, that once everything starts coming back to the life we used to know, just literally a couple of weeks ago.
A week ago.
Yeah. Is that globally, there is suddenly going to be this massive rush to be able to get and pick up all of these events that we've suddenly lost.
Yeah. Again, until we actually know when the all clear is to go ahead and how they're going to go about reactivating things. As I said, you can't just go, well, it's all clear, let's do everything this weekend. Because then obviously you've got officials that got to get ready and people, and there's only so many officials with so many events. So I'm not really sure if they're going to do it the pecking order as per how they were originally lined up and say, well, you were this week, you were the next week, and that's how we're going to do it. I imagine it'll probably be the best way to do it. And then what about events that already were supposed to come about when those now afoot? Is everybody just shift?
Shift down a month or two.
It's going to have to be a case of shift. I imagine that's the only way to do it, including for all sports, football, rugby, all that. Like everything just has to shift. And how does that affect seasons? And how does that change seasons? And it's an interesting, something we've never had to deal with. And I imagine a lot of administrative people in those sports are going, wow, how do we handle this? Yeah. And
for you personally, you've hosted very successfully a number of white-collar boxing events over the last number of years. I'm assuming your next event scheduled for the 1st of April is also off?
Yeah, we've announced the postponement of that indefinitely. Literally all our events now are just going to be postponed indefinitely until we know what we can and can do when we can. So it is what it is. Yeah.
In other non-virus related news out, I think it was yesterday, the day before, Tyson Fury, these allegations of can we call it bribery, corruption, etc., dating back to 2015 when him and Hughie Fury were caught with steroids. Yeah. And then the farmer apparently lying about the fact that apparently the meat was uncastrated or something, and that as a result had a negative impact on his test results. Now it seems that farmer's come forward and said he lied about it, and the only reason he's now coming forward is that the supposed £25,000 that he was meant to get for lying, he has never received that money.
Look, so there's two ways to look at this. I go like, if that is the case, all right, why? It's a long time ago. It's a couple of years. Yeah. Why didn't he say something? Because how long do you wait to get paid?
Yeah, 5 years, clearly.
How long do you wait to get paid? I'm not waiting anymore. And then if it is the case they were supposed to pay him, why wouldn't they have just paid him? Because it's a lot of money and a lot of damage that could have been done. And if it was the situation, I'm sure they could afford 25,000. Would have been good to keep guys quiet. So it's I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on it. It just sounds like another scandal that somebody's trying to get money out of, or we'll have to just wait and see.
Absolutely, just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Other non-virus related news, you were at EFC this last weekend.
Yes.
Africa trialing what they've called real-time or open scoring for the first time at an event. Let's call it an event, a professional event. Yeah. Bearing in mind that a couple of weeks ago, Invicta trialed that at their Phoenix Series 3 event. It's now the second global trial that we've seen of open scoring. Yeah, we were talking before the show that the Olympics have been doing it for years. Your immediate thoughts on the concept? I know for the longest time you've been very open to innovation in combat sports, but your immediate thoughts on this concept of open scoring in MMA?
I think there's positives, positive and negative to it as it stands at the moment. The real thing is you can't really say a positive or negative until it's actually done some time. You can throw a negative and a positive at it and go, this won't work, or you might lose audience interest, or if it's a one-sided fight based on scorecards. But until we've actually run it for a period of time, and I think it needs a test period, we can't really say if it adds value or doesn't add value. So I think it needs to do that time. I think it needs to be tested, and maybe not on every single event. Maybe it needs certain events to be tested. and then sit back and go, okay, these are the results. This is what we've got from the sport. Yes or no?
For the viewers out there, you'll know, you're watching the show, that EFC Vice President of Talent Graham Cartmell announced right here on the show that EFC would be trialing this, albeit that for the very first event it would only be via social media. So they posted these scores live on Twitter literally as the rounds were concluding. I know, Stephen, you were asking me in the build-up to this show what my thoughts were, and my immediate thoughts were the idea is phenomenal. It's innovative. We need it, particularly in the wake of some really sort of disappointing judging and officiating results. The way it was implemented at EFC, it almost had me as media sort of sitting there trying to watch social media for those scores to be announced, which literally only dropped as the next round started, while at the same time doing that sort of chameleon kind of thing of having one eye on the cage.
Just divided attention. It didn't give you the able to be able to focus, and that obviously has got to get, if it's going to go forward, it's got to get sorted.
100%, and EFC have committed that for their next events, and I don't know how that's going to happen in the Performance Institute, is that those scores will be displayed on screens for everybody to see. The big question that you were asking me is that, do you see this actually having an impact on the sport? I think a number of answers for that. One, I think it could have a decided impact on poor judging, or let's call it judges that have never been in there 100%, have just been there to pick up a paycheck. And now suddenly they're going to be forced.
Well, you're getting it's now clear and day you're going to get a light on you. So there's definitely accountability to it. Correct. I think for that side of the game, I think it's great. There are negatives to it, I think, in terms of, I said, audiences realizing the fight's one-sided fight based on the scorecards, and it could possibly go out. So I don't know. We're going to have to let it run its course. I think it needs to be tested, and I think we need to find out.
From a corner point of view, and this I think is the important piece, and I think this is where this whole sort of test is coming. Yeah. From you being in the corner, sitting in front of that athlete, now knowing that you thought that maybe that was your round, and now the judges, you're seeing the judges have not scored. Does that now potentially help you in terms of changing your strategy for your fighter?
It could definitely help me change my thought about it, but I think it also could have the reverse, and that's going to go down to, again, time spent in it. I think mental side of it, until you exposed it a few times as a trainer and you start understanding how to absorb that and how to then change it, it's got to have time tested. You know, I would look at it and I'd go, okay, well, I clearly, what I'm seeing, the judges are not seeing. I can either get upset about it and then I lose where we need to go next, or I can absorb it and look at another way of attacking it. That's going to have to go through its process. It needs time. I really think that it needs time, and I do think we need to do it. I think it needs to have its test process and then make a decision on whether it's a way to go forward or not.
Absolutely cannot agree more with what Stephen's saying. It's fantastic innovation. Let's not beat around the bush. Fantastic to see that combat sports is now innovating. We now just need to give it time, understand what works, what doesn't work. Obviously, certain things are going to work in certain boxing promotions where they don't have big screens. Others are going to work where they do have the big screens. So let's applaud these innovations. Let's give them time to unpack, and hopefully we see how they benefit the sport. Stephen, thanks so much for allowing us here in Top Box. It's been great coming to see your home away from home.
Anytime, with pleasure. Anytime you want to pop in, come and visit us.
And if you're in the Fourways area looking to get a workout, maybe lose a couple of kilos, maybe just learn a new skill, Top Box Fourways Johannesburg could be the place for you. Pop down here, come and chat to Stephen and his team. I'm sure they can help you. For us, that's us. We're out for Friday night. Not too much to look forward to this weekend. For everyone else out there, Monday night, 8:30, we're back to give you some more insight, more interviews, more background into what's happening in the world of combat sports. Until then, protect yourselves at all times. We're out.